The year was 1962. A casting call went out for a movie called The Best Man. The movie was released in 1964. For those of you who've seen it, it's actually a terrific movie, starring Paul Robertson. When the casting call went out, a 53-year-old actor showed up. He was desperate for this role. Desperate for this role. He had starred in a lot of B movies. And I guess when you take second billing to a monkey, you might even call them C movies. But he had a decent career. He was doing okay. But this was the role he wanted. And if you can imagine, he prepared for months for this audition. Stood in front of a mirror, looking presidential. Stood in front of a mirror, speaking presidential. Moving his hands and body the way a president might. By the time the day of that audition came, oh, was he ready. He was going to kill it. He was the first one called up, got in front of the casting director. He took a deep breath, and he killed it for 1 minute. 1 minute. Casting director held her hand, stop. Why? You just don't have that presidential look. You've already figured it out, so shut up. Was he rejected? Dejected? Oh, God, yes. Was he depressed? Yes. So much so, it was basically the end of his acting career. But isn't it incredible how the greatest disappointments of our lives are often our greatest blessings? It sent this actor off in a very different direction, much closer to his heart, that never would have happened without this casting director holding up her hand. Now, I checked these things out. 18 years later, that casting director was still alive. And if only we could have a camera in her face as the man who just didn't have that presidential look was sworn in as the President of the United States. The actor's name, Ronald Reagan. Two guys retire in their 60s named Chris Brooks and Paul Kavanagh. They had pensions, nice mediocre existence, ready to ride off into the sunset and to be forgotten by time. Except for one thing, they had a dream. See, these two friends have a love for Bucks County, Pennsylvania. They've had a love for this region their entire lives. And since Chris had inherited a very valuable piece of property right on the Delaware River, they decided to exercise that passion and build a log cabin on that property. Not just any log cabin, technologically advanced, energy-efficient log cabin. And then they were going to take all the artifacts they've collected in their years at Bucks County and turn it into a museum. And then they thought, well, if we're going to do that, why not buy the 90 adjacent acres to this property and build a lot of log cabins and sell them and lease them and build log cabin themed hotels, restaurants, specialty shops, theaters. And then if we're going to do that, why not take that prototype and do it again and again and again, nationally and internationally? Today, in their 70s, they are proof positive that it is never too late to be who you might have been. Chris Brooks and Paul Kavanagh.
Paul Kavanagh and I both live in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. We're both writers. For many years, I worked for consumer and trade magazines that dealt with the home, interior design, inside out, hardscaping, everything. I wrote about stick-built, concrete homes, modular, geodesic, the whole bit. My own particular passion has always been log cabins and log homes, rustic dwellings that are livable, not just a shack in the woods. We are here to invite you to partner with us on the creation of a unique and attractive concept. An upscale community of homes, shops, restaurants, a hotel, theater, outdoor recreation, possibly a marina, and much more. We have found nothing like it on the web or anywhere else. And there will be many sources of income, for example, 70 or more buildings. This can be achieved with collateralized revenue streams. The difference between this community and other towns or villages is that it will celebrate the lure of rustic beauty found in log cabins. We call it Colonial Log World, with a design theme based on the time-honored image of the log cabin. All homes and other structures will follow a rustic cabin style theme throughout, but with totally modern amenities. Homes and other buildings will be built with log, timber frames, and post-Indian elements. What could be more inviting and natural than a home, hotel, or a restaurant built with various pieces of wood, also using diverse architectural designs? You've seen them on HGTV and other programs, homes ranging from cabins to medium-sized homes and even large lodges. We hope this community will be built in Falls Township in Bucks County, hopefully on a 90-acre tract with 1,400 feet of riverfront space, recognized in an area known as Opportunity Zone. One primary reason is that our county has great appeal because of its history, scenery, yards, and more. And the bigger reason is that Bucks County is in the epicenter of tourism between DC and New York. Next month, we expect to have clearance to visit the site and report on its condition to potential investors. This is a great location to build a proposed community. If not, we will find another location. You might ask, quote, what is the reason for popularity for log homes and other rustic dwellings? According to the National Association of Home Builders based in Washington, D.C., quote, because log homes are synonymous with America's pioneering roots, log homes are more than just a type of construction. They conjure an emotional reaction, nostalgia for a simpler time and a way of life that no other form of housing can, end of quote. But the association and its website also goes on to say, quote, 7 presidents have been log cabin residents, most notably Abraham Lincoln. However, a log home can be more than a simple cabin. Today's log homes can be as complex, versatile, and luxurious as your imagination allows. With hundreds of log home producers in the U.S. and Canada vying for business, when it comes to design, the sky's the limit for today's consumer, end of quote. Colonial log will be enjoyed by all ages, resident families and tourists alike. In fact, there will be special events throughout the year, sure to attract visitors from far and wide. Our concept will be built in 2 phases. The gateway, or first phase, is the 21st century log cabin. It will be built on a property I own in Falls Township near Morrisville, just under 3/4 of an acre in size and adjacent to the larger property. We envision a kind of log cabin mini village. This 21st century log cabin, built with the most energy efficient amenities, will be a dealer's sample home representing a company that produces log or timber frame homes. Possibly 2 or more secondary structures will complete the setting. The property will also feature a pond, attractive landscaping, hardscaping, and something very special, the temporary home of an international log cabin museum, with displays relating to the history of log cabins and other rustic structures, including handmade models of cabins, houses, churches, barns, and more, some 75 years old. Art, collectibles, and giftware will be for sale. Several on-site businesses will provide revenue streams, such as William Penn Tours, where buses will take tourists to many different destinations near and far. The second phase will be Log Cabin World. As I said, we know nothing like it. It will offer many choices in single homes, smaller cabins, medium-sized houses, larger residences, as big as you might want it. Log styles will feature hand-hewn and milled. The good thing for potential home buyers is that they can buy a home here and live there, or select a style or customize the design that can be built elsewhere. Tourists will find lodging at the hotel. The diversity of shops, restaurants, and events will offer something for everyone. Also in Bucks County, the riverside town of Bristol, less than 2 years ago, won $500,000 for downtown revitalization funds, beating out 14,000 other small homes in all 50 states to claim first prize in Deluxe Corporation's Small Business Revolution contest. This occurred while a $3 million fishing pier and floating dock were under construction on the town's park-like waterfront. Redevelopment of Bucks County's waterfront continues. Historic Morrisville, where we live, has just been approached by investors who want to build a hotel, shops, etc. and even an amphitheater in a park close to the river. By the way, Morrisville is named for Robert Morris, a signer of the Declaration of Independence and better known as the savior of the American Revolution. He gave a $10 million gift to rescue the Commonwealth Army and guarantee winning the war for independence. George Washington received this gift that saved the colonies, equal to $278 million in today's money. I'd like to add that back in 2005, the Bucks County Redevelopment Authority published a brochure which asks the question, what will the Lower Bucks County riverfront look like in 20 years? We're almost there now. The brochure referenced an opportunity zone that includes the aforementioned 90-acre tract of land with 1,400 feet on the river. The brochure encouraged residential, commercial, and recreational developments. We look forward to partnering with those of you who are interested in this wonderful opportunity. And remember the old saying, build it, they will come.
Working with Chris over the last 3.5 years on developing a major prospectus, about 50 pages worth, that shows 3 years of not just demographics, but tourism statistics that prove that Bucks County really is on the rise. Sesame Place, as you know, is like booming. There's other Funzilla kid zones being developed. Morrisville, which you mentioned, $100 million project is what they're shooting for there. Anyway, the opportunities we're discussing, as Chris so aptly outlined, are a plethora of revenue streams, which should, if you invest vigorously, would greatly reduce our bank. Their risk would be greatly reduced, we believe, by your partially funding the Gateway or Colonial Log Roll projects because of your investment in what we hope to be developing with you as a revenue share, net profit revenue sharing plan. So as far as accessibility, Falls Township is located in the mid-Delaware Valley. That's the epicenter, as he said, of tourism. And both Chris's Gateway property and the 90-acre property are within miles of major routes. 1.5 miles to Route 1, about 2 miles to 95, and maybe 3 miles to I-195 and 295. So the Keystone Industrial Port Complex that many of you might not be aware of is one of the highest security ports in the United States now. And they have 200 to 300, maybe 350 truckers that drive in and out of there all day long. And if you know anything about truckers, their lifestyle is extremely cooped up until they have their free time. Where do they want to go? To the country or to the mountains, go fishing, go hunting. But generally, I only have a trailer to come back to. So we're thinking that with them going back and forth, and it's really the only access in and out of the port is South Pennsylvania Avenue, where his property is, would make a great location for attracting many of these six-figure earners. $80,000 is the starting employment rate for experienced truckers just getting started with Snyder Trucking, for instance. So these guys are experienced truckers, probably making 6 figures, many of them with young to mid-range families, and I'm sure they'd really like to, bring them up to a log cabin or lodge rather than just to the trailer. Anyway, we look at them as a major source of income. The visual hook for them would be an attractive rock pile waterfall, a water wheel, a burn with flowers, and a pond right near the South Pennsylvania Avenue property frontage. Truckers would see that with the lighted sign even at night. The inquiry is welcome. And during the day, they could easily see about 100 feet back this structure, the log residence and museum. For our banking partners, Mr. Brooks will use the 1622 South Pennsylvania property as collateral and will consider collateralizing the 12 to 15 revenue streams emanating from the development of that Gateway project. Chris, if you wouldn't mind, I'll let you. It's just a sample of a document that we've sent to 5 commercial lenders. Also an artist in residence. Studio space would be available for rent as well as for use with lessons. And the book note regarding log homes, building timber frame, colonial history, crafts, books and pamphlets and brochures on the history of the Delaware Valley, how to get to museums, battle sites, battlegrounds, state parks, microbreweries, wineries, and public gardens for the bus tours. As he was describing, the fledgling William Penn tours would emanate out of the Gateway project. So this would be touring to sports and entertainment venues, but also to hotspots such as regional bird watching locations around the Delaware Valley. Even for photographers, we could have tours to the Delaware Valley locations, and even locally on foot, IDing trees, plants, flowers in nature tours. around the Gateway property. Also near the Delaware Valley, if you don't know, the Biles Island, a 500-acre northern section of the island, is now home to bald eagles that nest there. And people could come out and watch the juveniles try to stay above the water as they flap with their weak wings and their speckled breasts. You know, it's really a beautiful scene. There's also hawks, as well as great blue heron, and a lot of other birds available to be seen. It's right across the inlet of Biles Creek from the proposed Colonial Log World project. So also in the International Log Cabin Museum would be the crystal corner for Swarovski, Boda, or other crystal and gift items. And in addition, fine art paintings, sculpture, leather goods, pottery, blown glass. You get the idea. There's a wide range of crafts that could be sold out of the International Log Cabin Museum. Now here's an interesting one. I don't know if you know about a company called Acre, A-C-R-E. They're really visionary venue that's in, their first one was in Vancouver, the last one recently was done in Cabo San Lucas. What they do is they house the people in tree houses. They come down for breakfast and I want that, I want that, I want that. And they get farm fresh stuff prepared right for them. So it gives them a very unique ambiance. And what we're trying to create with one of the largest sycamore trees in Pennsylvania, which is on Chris's property, a crow's nest, which would be a platform elevated among the tree, not as a tree house, but supported with two code support pillars for an observation platform for outdoor naturalist lectures, bird watching, wedding photos, outdoor landscape painting lessons, weather permitting, catered dining in the tree, which I came up with. I thought that was pretty interesting to deliver prepared meals for special occasions. Anyway, there's also a potential for canoe, kayak, and watercraft sales, rental, and instruction, because we're right near this inlet, which has real calm water. And also there's a 0.2 mile dirt road that is grandfathered because it's been there forever, even before Chris's family bought it 60 years ago. It goes right from the bottom of Chris's property directly to the inlet to make it ease of access for any type of watercraft activities. Website development. As another revenue stream, I myself studied website optimization, so I know a little bit about homepage keywords and how to optimize for getting you on the first page of a search. We also sold software with ICT Group when they had big call centers around the world. Net2Tel and other software has been around for a while, but very few websites use it because it's expensive. But what it does is it prevents a poser from just dropping off your website. In other words, they have an opportunity to do a live chat, text chat, 800 number callback, where you have an actual agent then talking to the prospect while the prospect is on the website. And they can enslave their computer and do whiteboarding. There's a lot of really nice features that would help get someone from being just a looky-loo to a serious prospect. So I would be involved and interested in developing that. We'd also like to have affinity marketing, which would mean that our suppliers of all the fit-out materials, appliances, flooring, etc., we could approach them to try to get their materials at cost first, and if they do agree to that, we'll put them on a hot button where you can click through. Somebody goes to our website for the International Log Cabin Museum. Oh, these are your suppliers? I want to find out about Lawnstein floors. And so we get paid for those click-throughs, as you know. Another channel marketing partnership arrangement would be done, we believe, with the log home providers. So even if they didn't build the main house, any log home provider that had a structure on there would also get representation by us for any inquiries. They'd have a kiosk with their brochures, etc. And they would be invited after this group considers buying into potentially the revenue sharing, net profit sharing plan. Then if we can't raise the $850,000 that we hope to completely flesh out this property, then it will be offered to the log home providers as well, so that they can buy into a portion of the revenue streams. So that's that in a nutshell, but several building styles, as Chris alluded to, will be done for the many 70-plus buildings in the major project, but even so for the mini village project. Other providers with a major structure on our property will receive prime provider attention to prospect development. So any log home or timber frame provider investor who might have a minor structure on our property will still get representation. And as I was describing, channel marketing partners, I think, will become a very dynamic way of generating this affinity marketing. I also want to pass this around. It's kind of like a breakdown of what you really want to know about, which is what you as investors would get per percentage of the $850,000 that you decide to invest in. As an example, just to run through it quickly, $20,000 will give you a 2% return. 20% ROI doesn't sound like much, it's $4,000 profit. If you go up to $40,000, it returns 4% net profit, which is a 40% ROI, or $16,000 profit on 40,000, which is a total of 56,000 return. Moving up, if an $80,000 investment returns 8% of the net profit share for the Gateway project alone, then they get an 80% ROI, or $64,000 profit on their $80,000 investment. So it escalates as more money is invested to the $100,000 limit of 10% return, or 100% return on investment, doubling the money. So it ranges for significant investments from about 40% to 100%, depending on how much you want to invest. So we hope to achieve the total payback by the end of year 3, because we believe that after, and that would be from the start of the Gateway project and our doing business, within another year to 2, we believe we'll have everything paid back, because the foot traffic that we anticipate from Colonial Log World, even at a 50% occupancy rate, would be about 2,500 to 3,500 people a month. So the influx of visitors and prospects coming to the International Log Cabin Museum, which is only a footpath, maybe 0.2 of a mile from the main property that we're looking at, that would afford a quadrupling of the amount of prospects coming through, looking at the museum. Oh, you build these things? Oh, you built that one too? Oh, I like that style. What do you have on them? So I think we could develop prospects quite easily from the development of Colonial Log World once that gets going. And that would accelerate the return on payments. So log and timber frame producers will be participating in the net profit sharing plan as well. But this first round of fundraising is exclusively yours. We've entrusted Stephen to advise us, and he's even shown us how the collateralization of Chris's property and the revenue streams is a very dynamic proposition for a commercial loan company that's just looking at that, as opposed to the big, maybe $90 million that it would be required to build out the 90-acre, 70-venue Colonial Log World. We have approached a couple of banks that are interested in a portion of that, but most that we've spoken to are definitely interested in the Gateway project first, and then see how well we do in terms of fundraising. So we're going to circle back to them after this meeting, and after we know the status of the property. So your commitment to a certain net profit share investment will strengthen our position when we seek the $250,000 construction loan for just the Gateway project. Now remember, this Gateway project is only 0.72 acres, but it will be the developmental, the marketing center for developing Colonial Log World going forward. So with your help, we really think that this can be achieved, and the marketing streams will do nothing except increase your return. That's about it. Thank you for your attention. Appreciate it. Thank you.